You know what they say, big things come in small packages. Hi, Shannon Rowe Jackson here from Caution Artists at Play, and today I am going to be doing part 1 of my 3-part series where I will be reviewing the 12 set colored pencils from Holbein. So there's 3 sets here, and I will be doing a video for each set. For transparency reasons, these were sent to me by Holbein. However, the opinions are 100% mine. I am going to basically be focusing on how each of these sets works and if it's worth just starting out with a smaller set and what each of these sets could be used for. I am also going to be trying out in this first video the Melts Colored Pencil Blender. I was not even aware that they had a colored pencil blender, so I'm really eager to try this out, and I will give you my opinion on that in this first video. So this week, we are going to start out with a basic tone set because I think it's a good overall starter set, and then next week, I will be doing the design tone set because I also think that this is kind of a good range to start with. And then the week after, I will be doing the pastel tone sets because I think that I will have to incorporate some from these sets into this one just for value. This is kind of a set that I view as being a specialty set and not necessarily a starter set, more of a supplementary set that you'll want to add to your other sets just because they've got such unique colors. However, these first 2 sets I think are going to be great for starting out. So we're going to start with a basic tone set because that is the basics, and I think it's a great starting point. So stay tuned for that, and if you'd like to see me review the pencils themselves, I do have a video of that up on my channel. I will link that in the description below because I do have an overall first opinions video of when I tried the Holbein colored pencils for the first time. So that will kind of give you an overview of what I think of the pencils themselves, whereas these videos will be for specifically the 12 sets. All right, so stay tuned. So this one is their basic tone set. So as it implies, this is going to have, you know, your regular everyday colors. So your Roy G. Biv, if you will. And then, of course, a couple of browns and a black and a white color. So on the inside here, it's going to tell you what sets, like all their colors and the sets that they're available in. Nice sturdy tin. Each of the tins looks the same, but if you look closely, the pencil design is different. So it shows you the colors right here that you will be getting in the set. So that's where the tins differ, and of course it tells you what set you're getting. So let's take a look at their basic tones. We have Canary Yellow, Orange, Carmine, Violet, Cobalt Blue, Aqua, Holly Green, Apple Green, Burnt Sienna, Burnt Umber, Black, and White. So this is their regular white pencil. They also have a soft white, which might be in the other set. So what we have here is a nice range of your basic colors, a great starter set if you are somebody who is new to colored pencil and you only want to dabble in a few colors just to see how they feel, or if you're new to this brand, this will likely give you the best feel. Of course, I'll know more once I do a piece with them, but I always recommend kind of starting out with a smaller set anyways, especially if you're new to colored pencil, because it will encourage you to mix your colors more. You don't want to be too reliant on having to have every single color that they make out there in order to, you know, do your artwork. It's best for color mixing purposes or to learn how to mix colors if you start out with a smaller range. And you can actually get a huge amount of colors from a small range, especially if you have a nice range here of values. So I think this set is good because you have the extremes of values in this set. So you get your darkest darks, obviously, and then you have a good range of light colors as well. And that's where it's going to be easier to be able to get your color mixing. So I think this one's going to be a good basic set. I'm looking, they have their Lightfast ratings on the sides, and it looks like everyone in this set is between a 3 and a 2, which means it's between highly Lightfast and the highest amount of Lightfastness for their range of pencils. Okay, so starting on my little project now, this is going to be a pretty simple composition with 3 apples and some grass. I want to mention ahead of time, this is not a tutorial on how to draw these things. This is a review for this set, so I'm not going to be walking you through necessarily how I drew this. However, there are going to be some spots where I am going to be doing real time and zooming in, like this spot here, so that you can kind of see a little bit better what I am doing with certain details and things like that. But that being said, my main focus for this video is this set of colored pencils, how they performed for me, and not necessarily how to draw this specific subject. So if you're looking for a tutorial, I am sorry, that is not what this video is. I feel the need to throw that out every time because inevitably something will pop up in the comments about it. So, okay, with that little disclaimer out of the way, let's talk about this set of pencils. So I am somebody who thinks it's good to start with a small set. When you're learning a new medium or when you're learning techniques, it's very good for learning how to blend. And I also think it's good to start with a small set if you're new to a certain brand, because you're usually going to get it a little bit cheaper, but you can get a nice variety of things. So one thing that I do want to mention, technically, to buy these pencils open stock as of right now while I'm doing this voiceover, it's actually a little bit cheaper to buy them open stock than it is to buy a set of 12 or to buy a set in general per pencil. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of prices, but I do have everything linked in the description below. But as of right now, it seems to be a little bit cheaper to buy them as individual pencils than it is to buy it as a set. However, sets are very convenient. So, you know, if you're somebody who's indecisive about your colors and you don't know where to start and you're really just trying to kind of figure things out, a small set might be for you. However, if you're somebody who knows the types of colors that you like to use in your artwork and you have a specific color palette, then I recommend go ahead and buy things open stock. So let's talk about this set though. It is a good overall set. I really enjoy the color selection here. I think there is a good variety between light and dark colors, which is very important, and also a good variety within the color range itself. You've got your basic tones, you've got your red, you've got your orange, you have your yellow, blues, purples, you know, the usual. And you also have a couple neutral tones, and I think that that is fantastic. I had no trouble doing anything that I needed to do with this drawing. There was a great balance between contrasting colors, which are colors that are opposite to the color wheel, so I was able to make my own neutrals if I didn't have them. The only one that I think would have been more convenient to have in the set probably would have been a... Oh, here I am using the melts here, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So I thought it would be nice to have another neutral, like tan color, something lighter than the brown that I had in there, but darker than white, obviously. However, I can't figure out any other color that I would replace. So let's talk about this melts stuff. So this is Holbein's own colored pencil blender. I don't know a whole lot about it, but my sources at Holbein tell me it is actually water-based, so it's very different than OMS. However, I think it worked pretty well. It doesn't really have much of an odor, which was nice. The odor kind of, I don't know, if I was close enough to it, which I don't recommend doing, kind of smelled like dish soap a little bit, or like some type of soap, I don't know, but it was nothing too horrible. I had it in an open container the whole time I was using it, never got a headache, and it did the job. And it's supposed to be archival, and it's supposed to be non-toxic. But other than that, there's really not much I can tell you about the ingredients of it, just that it's water-based and non-toxic. Obviously, don't drink the stuff. It did blend things out, as you can see. Here I'm using a knife to scrape away some details. And I was actually really happy with that. These colors, these pencils in general, do really well when you do a lot of burnishing and then blending out. They're not as great with light layers because they tend to be very waxy, and it's one reason why I'm able to get things done so quickly with them. However, that is something to keep in mind. I mentioned that in my previous video of reviewing these. Okay, so back to the color selection. I can't think of another color that I would replace with a beige color I do like the color selection. It's just for this particular piece, I think it would have been nice to have another light neutral in there. So, but I was still able to get everything done that I needed to. I was very happy with it. This set really does prove that you can get a lot done with very few colors. And so that is what I recommend it for. If you're new to colored pencil, or if you're new to Holbein and you want to try their pencils, I think this is a great set for that, because you can get a lot done with very little colors. Okay, so speaking of colors, I want to talk about something that is important to me, and you know about, like, if you've watched my videos, you know how I feel about Lightfastness. So this is where things kind of get interesting here. This set in particular has been rated with all 2 and 3 stars, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, by Holbein. And I reached out to Holbein and I got in touch with my contact person there, and I asked them if which rating system they use. And if you're watching this video, there's probably a good chance that you also follow Lisa Clow from La Cree Fine Art. She recently did a review on these as well and had also reached out to them about their Lightfast ratings. And I got a very similar answer to what Lisa got, but just slightly different. So this is what I got in response. So Holbein has been producing color for many years, through which they have developed their own rating system for permanency. And so that means they're doing their own Lightfast ratings on them. They use a star system, which we know, and the approximate rating levels for the stars, as it applies to all 19 color lines, which means not just their pencils, but also their paints, which they produce a lot of different cool art supplies out there. This is the ratings that they gave me. No star will inevitably fade within 5 to 15 years. And 1 star is 30 to 60 years. 2 stars, 60 to 75 years. 3 stars, 75 to 100 years. And 4 stars is in excess of 100 years. Now, to my knowledge, from what I looked at, I don't believe any of their pencils have the 4-star rating on them. I believe that pertains to their paints and, you know, like their oil paint and acrylic paints and things like that. So taking out any overtly fugitive colors, that would be the ones that have no star on them. Because even though they claim to be, you know, between 5 and 15 years, I wouldn't trust that in my artwork. I would take those pencils out. So considering that, that means they're between 30 and 100 years for Lightfastness, which is very exciting to hear, because they have a lot of colors that usually aren't Lightfast in other people's lines. However, when Lisa had reached out, she heard, and I'll link her video in the description below. I'm sure most of you have probably already seen it, because I know a lot of the people that follow me do follow Lisa Clow. She was told something along the lines that each star represents like 25 years of Lightfastness. So that's a little different than what I heard. First of all, 1 star, I mean, that's 5 years less than what I was told for 1 star. But that's also, you know, it's just slightly different information than what came from, you know, the company. And so, do with that information what you will. This is my thing about Lightfast ratings. And I've said it in many of my videos. I always go according to the Colored Pencil Society of America's Lightfast ratings. And that's not saying that I trust them 100%. I compare their ratings with the ratings of any manufacturer. And I've mentioned this in my videos before. I've done videos about Lightfast ratings on particularly popular lines. So, Colored Pencil Society of America does their own testing as well. However, they have no skin in the game because they're not actually selling pencils. So they have nothing to lose or to gain by putting out inaccurate information. So to the best of their knowledge, their information is accurate. It's a good faith thing. And obviously, each company probably feels the same way about their own ratings. However, I do a compare and contrast with the company's ratings, no matter what brand I'm using, and the Lightfast ratings that I receive from the Colored Pencil Society of America. I cannot disclose the ratings from the Colored Pencil Society of America because you need to be a member. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just am a member because I really, really like to have this extra bit of information. So when I get a set of colored pencils, I look at each pencil and the rating that the manufacturer has put out, and I compare it with the ratings that Colored Pencil Society of America has put out. And if either of those sets of Lightfast ratings says it's a fugitive pencil, I'm getting rid of it because I'm not chancing it. I'm a professional artist. I spend a lot of time on my artwork. I've spent a lot of time honing my skills. And I want to be able to sell my original artwork. And if I'm going to do that, I want to make sure that the person that is receiving a piece of artwork will be able to enjoy that artwork for years to come as they purchased it. And so I am somebody who has been overly cautious about this for years. So it's interesting to see their Lightfast ratings, but I also have a copy of the Colored Pencil Society of America's Lightfast ratings as well, and I will be comparing the two, and that's how I will be doing it. Each of you needs to do your own research and figure out what you find comfortable for yourself, but I do say that if you are selling your artwork, err on the side of caution of things and just use your best judgment. So, with that being said, I'm very happy with the performance of these pencils. And this set of 12 actually does have pretty good Lightfast ratings. I didn't find too many discrepancies. There's a couple small discrepancies between the Lightfast ratings that Colored Pencil Society of America made and their Lightfast ratings that are on the pencils. I have not gone through and looked at the CPSA ratings and compared all the colors in the entire Holbein line yet, but I will do it on a case-by-case basis as I continue to review these small sets. However, I do feel confident that I could sell this piece that I made. And as I said, I'm very picky about that. And I should mention that the person that I spoke with at Holbein, they were actually very excited that Colored Pencil Society of America was doing their Lightfast ratings. So he did not seem worried at all by the fact that somebody else was also going to be testing these pencils, because I got these sent to me a few months ago now, and I had spoken with a person before they were sent to me, and it was brought up that Colored Pencil Society of America had done the Lightfast ratings, and he seemed very excited about that fact. So, like I said, you need to do your own research, but I wanted to be honest in my review of this and let you know that there does seem to be a little bit of confusion. Also, when I looked at the Blick website, in their Q&A below the pencils, somebody had asked if there was Lightfast information, and somebody claiming to be some sort of expert had answered saying that there was no information, no Lightfast information on these pencils, when there is. So there's just a little bit of confusion there, and it would be nice if that could be cleared up, and, you know. But as I said, you need to do your own research, do what makes you feel comfortable. I am somebody who, ethically speaking, if I'm selling my artwork, I'm going to try to do my best faith effort to make sure that my artwork is archival, because I don't want to screw my buyers over. Okay, so let's get back to this set specifically, now that we've got that out of the way. I was really, really excited about the colors in this set. There was actually a few colors here that I use quite often in my own work. I'm pretty happy with that. The apple green, I use that color an awful lot. I really liked the Carmen. I liked the way these worked up. They work up really, really fast, as I mentioned in my previous video on them. One thing that I'm not a horrible fan of is the black, unless I'm burnishing. It seems to be kind of difficult to get my darks dark enough unless I'm really, really laying that pencil down. But these are soft pencils, and so it really doesn't take much to do that. So even though I found myself burnishing a lot more than I normally would, I didn't find myself eating through the pencil as fast as I thought I would. And there are places online where these are mentioned as oil-based. As anybody knows, colored pencils are a mixture of oil and wax. To me, these feel more wax-based. But I also found some information that says that they use a combination of oil, fats, and wax. And I think that's one reason why they lay down so quickly. And I really, really love that. I thoroughly enjoy working with these pencils. It's a little bit different than the style I normally work with, but boy, they're so quick. They are so, so quick. And this is a small piece, so it wouldn't take me as long as usual anyway, but definitely, definitely quick. And again, my general all-purpose review video is up on my channel. That will be linked in the description below, where you can get my first impressions of the pencils themselves. So I was very happy with the white pencil, not as happy with the black pencil, but I was able to make do, and I also was able to kind of layer over it very easily because some of these colors are quite opaque, even the lighter colors, and that kind of makes things easier as well, especially when you're only working with a few colors. But it's something to keep in mind because you don't want to overpower your darks with your lights necessarily either. So sometimes I found myself having to use a heavier touch with my dark colors, but a lighter touch with my light colors, if that makes sense. So I mentioned the softness. One thing that I wasn't a huge fan of, they don't erase as easily as some of the other pencils. They sink into the paper really well, especially when we use the Melt Colored Pencil Blender, which you see me using more of here. Something that I didn't really get the chance to mention before with this colored pencil blender, it doesn't really stain the paper too bad. You can kind of see how I'm wiping excess blender off of my brush on the cardboard that I have this on. And eventually that does go away. It doesn't really stain the paper too bad, and that's really, really good. It does evaporate really well for something that is water-based. And here I'm kind of showing you how I burnished to get that waxy kind of texture on the apples there. And I already have quite a few layers down of this pencil. I'm using the Arches Hot Press watercolor paper. I use this quite often for colored pencils because it can really take a beating, and it definitely takes well to different sorts of blenders, such as OMS and the melts that I am using here. But I definitely overall liked this set. I'm eager to try the next couple of sets to see if I like them as much. I feel that this really, really is probably the best overall set, but I can't say that for sure because I haven't tried the other two. But you can see there, I put highlights with the white pencil right over the apple, and I already had a ton of layers there, and the white showed up really, really well. These colors all worked well together. I felt like there was such a great balance between the lights and the darks and the warms and the cool colors, which is also a very important balance to have when you're doing realism. You want a good balance between warm and cool, contrasting colors, and of course your values. Okay, so here is the final piece. I am so happy with how this came out. This just goes to show you don't need a ton of colored pencils to get the job done. A 12 set works just fine, and this set fits the bill. I'm very, very excited with how this came out, and I was very excited with the color combination in this set. It is definitely a great all-purpose set. If you are somebody who wants to try Holbein but can't invest in one of the larger sets and is unsure of what colors to buy open stock, I think this is definitely the way to go. It's going to be less expensive, obviously, than buying a larger set, and it'll give you a good feel for the pencils themselves. There's enough variety here to do different kinds of subjects, and I think that with color mixing, you can achieve just about anything that you like. It would have been kind of interesting to have maybe another, like another neutral tone or another neutral brown in there, maybe in between this color and white, like maybe a beige. However, then it would have had to be a 13 set because I honestly couldn't tell you what color I would replace it with. And most 12 sets don't have like a beige in it necessarily anyways, but it would have been nice to have something in between this color and white where I needed to burnish, but I didn't want it to be as cold as the white, and I didn't want it to be as dark as this color because I used a lot of warm tones in the apples. But again, that was a personal preference thing, and I cannot think of a pencil in here that I would replace. I think that the color selection was chosen really well. I really can't complain other than me being a picky little broad. I have to apologize. These are way out of order. They're going to be going in my pencil drawers with the rest of my Holbein soon anyways, and this just looks horrible. But this can kind of show you what colors I use the most, obviously. I use that red a lot. I use the green a lot. And they really didn't wear down too badly. So, overall, I'm ecstatic with the way this one came out. I highly recommend this set if you're first starting out with Holbein, or even if you're just starting with colored pencils and you want a nice high quality pencil to learn with. This is going to give you the combination that you need for mixing while you're learning to mix colors, and it will give you the variety you need to do a number of subjects. I like a lot of natural subjects, so this worked out perfectly with the browns and the greens, but you can also do some florals because you have the warmer tones. You don't necessarily have a pink, but again, this white works really well and you can mix to get a pink. It really just comes down to learning how to mix colors, but it's perfect for that. And you could probably do some animal portraits as well. I don't necessarily know about portraiture, though. Honestly, with the oranges and the yellows and the browns, I do think you would be able to do some soft skin tones as well. So yeah, general all-purpose basic tone set definitely holds up to what it claims to be. So super pleased. I'm so excited to try the next two sets. However, I am very happy with this one. Oh, also, the melts, just an overview of the Melts Colored Pencil Blender, that water-based blender that I spoke about earlier in the video. I was very happy with this. The only thing is it lifted a little bit if I had too much on my brush, which isn't unusual for most blenders, but there were times when I had to go back into certain places because it moved the pigment a little too much. However, overall, I was very happy with it. It has a slight odor, as I mentioned, but when I was working with it, I didn't notice it. Typically speaking, I use my odorless mineral spirits in a water brush. I didn't do that with this yet. I need to get a different water brush because I don't want to mix it with odorless mineral spirits since they're two different solutions. So I had it in an open container and I didn't really notice the odor too much while I was blending, and I can be sensitive to chemical odors sometimes. So it didn't really bother me while I was working. I didn't get any headaches from it or anything like that. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, it is, you know, it's supposed to be non-toxic, and it's not, you know, it's not the same kind of solution as like an odorless mineral spirit or anything like that. So it's supposed to be a little bit safer. So yeah, overall, very happy with my experience so far. I'm very excited to try out the next two sets. I will see you next week with the designer tone set, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you learned something about this set of pencils. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.